know what? We got to end this early. This intro, man. I cannot wait to talk about this show, and I have no time to wait for the intro.
Hard
I don't know.
in.
Oh, it, hang on a second. I've got double things happening here on my screens. Okay. This is what happens when I don't get properly prepared, because that's how excited I am. Dude, this is one of the I am so excited about talking about this. So we're going to get right into it. Hard ins, because we got a hard out. We also might have Kevin from Toying Around joining us as well, because he's also like foaming at the mouth to talk about this. So I said, dude, just jump in at any time. So with that said, let's say hello to the chat. Let's talk about how great this episode is. These 2 episodes. My God, dude, this is so exciting. All right, we got Toy Farce here. Shondo Gecko's going to be catching us on the replay. And yes, I do understand we are earlier, so people are probably at work. Technically, I even told work, hey, I'm going to be gone at 5 today. I got things to talk about. Frankie Riviere is here. The Ryan Doell fan club. It's always weird saying that, still and forever. The first 2 episodes were fantastic and exactly what I was hoping for. Nostalgia mixed with updated animation and better storytelling and more action. And yes, Hasbro, give us the 97 basketball team.
Yeah.
Not just Hasbro. I would love if Mondo did it too.
Yeah.
Toy Geekosaurus, Darren Coots, Matt Bush also catching us on the replay. Again, Matt, anyone catching us on the replay, leave comments after you watch it. Let us know what you thought of these episodes. And if there's anything that you want us to tackle in the future as far as this season goes. The Ginger Jedi, yes, that new theme song too. We'll get into it. Tony Johnson, my boy Johnny Cock, Gady's Toys. Yes, early for once. Yeah, and especially for you specifically. You're right. My boy Steve 3 is all the way down from Los Angeles. He is here as well. Cougar McKillicuddy, Video Power Gaming, Skylar Davis, Andy Stutes, right? Millennials Rise for our national anthem. 100%. There were times last night, like I watched the midnight show and I was like, and I caught myself at points just standing up and watching. It was like, oh, are they doing this? Are they doing this? It's so good. And again, Steve, yes, catch us on the replay after you watch it, right? Coates. Sorry, man. I'm excited. I'm barely reading. It's not my fault. Derek Coates. He made the awesome superpowers thing for me too. The big logo. It's gorgeous. Anyways, thank you everyone for being here. Alex, let's get right into this. When did you hang on? Well, I want to present this too, just so everyone kind of knows where we are at. Right? I lied. There is no sex. I'm going to explain to you. That's where we're going tonight. Did I like I said earlier, I was super excited about this. I ended up staying till midnight. YouTube, the Marvel channel on YouTube, ended up having a countdown channel where it was just the end credits, the theme song on repeat for hours. And it was just a countdown to midnight. So I couldn't help it. I had it going on. I was watching. I loved it. Alex, when did you catch it earlier? Like, did you catch it last night? Did you watch it today?
I didn't watch it last night, but I watched it this morning before work. Both episodes, and yeah, I was because I was already like waking up to like messages of people like, did you see it? What did you think? I was like, I gotta watch it. Like, and right? Yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to it, for weeks, and yeah, it was a great way to start the day. But it like, it's like derailed my day, like I can't stop thinking about it.
Same here. And I thought the first episode, again, it reintroduced us to who everyone is, what they're dealing with, what their powers are, relationships, all that kind of stuff. Not like, I felt like the first episode to me was a great wasn't kind of relaying the foundation because
Yeah.
they were referencing stuff that happened in past seasons,
Right.
but I felt like they did it in such a way that it was like you didn't you forgot to watch. It's been a while. You're new to
Yeah.
this. Let's catch you up to speed.
Yeah, for sure. It makes, I mean, they're reestablishing the sort of dynamics, how Cyclops and Wolverine, Cyclops and Jean Grey, Storm, like Jubilee, all those things, Rogue, all those things are being sort of reestablished, because it's gonna like go into a new direction, right? So yeah, I thought it did a good job of kind of, yeah, like you say, bringing people up to speed, introducing them to what they need to know, but without like spending too much time on it that it felt like, a rehash.
Right. Yeah. That's how it was beautifully done. And I just thought like just how they just kick it off right off the bat with like just kind of they almost did the same thing with Jubilee's episode, and Jubilee, like the first episode, and Jubilee kind of like, hey, Sunspot, this thing, same thing happened to me there, bud. Like
Yeah.
it, it's
Yeah,
the
no,
same
that was
thing.
cool. That's cool too. Like in having and Jubilee sort of now in the, not the mentor role, but she's like, the the scene in the original series where like Storm takes Jubilee aside on the roof of the X Mansion, is like, this is who we are and what we're all about. Now Jubilee gets to do that for the new kid,
Yeah,
which is
which
cool.
so cool. It's a great way to also bring in like the New Mutants, because again, that's when Magneto was the headmaster of the school as well.
Yeah, right.
And that same costume. That's his New Mutants
Right.
like
No, a
costume.
lot of 80s X-Men comic stuff is in this.
And
Um,
happening. It feels like it's 97, but let's face it, this is X-Men 88. In its own
yeah,
in its own weird way. And it's and I loved it. I love the whole thing with the Friends of Humanity. Like
yeah,
again, if you're not into if you're not into the whole like uh I don't want the more recent news in my media, yeah, this show is not going to be for you at all.
right.
Because they wasted no time with that either, especially even in the first episode with like the Friends of Humanity, like I was saying. I
Yeah, which I
love,
think is
yeah,
is really important, because it's that's the unique power of X-Men, to be able to talk about those things, and um it's what continues to make it such a relevant comic
yeah,
and story.
yeah. This is
I really liked, like, right off the bat, I really liked the, when you see Cyclops using his optic blast to sort of push himself around the floor, like during the fight scene with the Friends of Humanity. It's like little, like, my feeling about this show is that it succeeds so well on both a macro and a micro level. So it gets all the big picture notes of X-Men, which we'll talk about probably more when we talk about episode 2, but like it gets that stuff so well. But then it's like also little things like showing the X-Men use their powers and their fighting and stuff in a way that we
yep,
haven't seen them use it before. It's like it feels like they've learned some new tricks, and it's thinking kind of creatively about about these characters. So yeah, right from from seeing Cyclops have some new, like, combat moves, it was, yeah, it felt
well,
like we
even
were in
just
good
him
hands.
doing hand-to-hand combat
Yeah, it's
is
true.
something new, right? He's always been like a distance fighter. Now we're kind of seeing like, hey, he can go toe to toe with the best of them.
Yeah, in
You
close
know,
quarters. Yeah, for
up
sure.
close as well. And it, make mine Marvel Legends saying like they finally showed how Storm actually is.
Yeah,
100%. We'll get more into that when we start talking more about episode 2 as well.
right.
The but even her first entrance in that first episode, her coming down and being like, I command the elements.
Oh yeah.
You're you're fucked. Like I
And
think that's what it was verbatim.
yeah, yeah, she drops F-bombs, like, yeah, and
Drops
I
F
think,
bombs. Yeah.
Alison Seeley Smith, the voice actress, like, she has not lost a step with Storm. Like, it's she does the goddess voice, gravitas really well, but then the soft, sisterly, motherly, nurturing performance is also there. Like it's just, it's great to see that old familiar Storm back.
It's that to me, I feel like this Storm. Hang on, we got a special guest here joining us.
Oh, dang.
Also, Kevnito from Toying Around is here to make examples out of everyone and take no shit.
Guys?
Hey, Kevin. Welcome to Gotham
anything.
City tonight.
Kevin, do you not want us to read your mind? Or it's fun. Like you guys both went Magneto. I went Beast. With
you
with this library. And,
I'm
working on some experiments. And...
Hi, how's it going, everyone?
Oh, it's going good, Kevin. Thanks for coming and hanging out. And you got here a little earlier than expected, so that makes. We were just talking about the start of the episode and kind of how, everyone is the introductions of the reintroductions of everyone, I guess we should say, have just been nothing but spectacular for this first episode. Is there any character that's coming to mind? Because we were just talking about Storm and how
dude, there was some cool changes.
Well, it's not even just such cool changes. It feels like everyone matured.
Right.
Like across the board.
How cool is it when she's electrocuting the sand in the desert and it's turning to glass? I mean, that moment is just like so badass.
Did you guys talk about Cyclops' powers when he was zipping around?
Alex was just
floor.
Yeah, I was like, did he when did he teleport? Because when he first hit that dude in the factory, he kind of slid across the screen, and I went, oh wait, and then he really changed his added to his skill set. I guess leveled up some.
He leveled up.
Video game.
That is the best way to put it. He 100% leveled up, and we were before we even came on the air, we were talking about we were going to have to do a roundtable episode of Cyclops and how cool he got. Because I feel like overall Cyclops just got an upgrade.
Yeah, they all did. Like, we saw Beast piloting a Sentinel, a dead Sentinel, like amazing. Like,
yeah.
I was watching it with my brother, and he was like, have they ever done that before? That's so awesome. I was like, yeah, no, it's brand of all the times the X-Men have fought the Sentinels. Like this has this, find some new creative ways to take them down.
Right. Like, well, even like we saw this in the trailer and we weren't sure how this was going to pan out. Right. Like, do his claws explode? Because that's usually what happens when the kinetic energy touches something.
Right.
That object explodes. So we're like, this is Wolverine.
But it's adamantium, so it can withstand it.
Right.
Although my theory is that Wolverine's flesh should have exploded off of him. So that's the meatball special instead of the fastball special.
Oh yeah, because that move was like Morph turned into Blob and then trampolined him up into the air. I'm like, oh, they modified this a lot. Like,
I love that Morph's powers are cameos. It's so great.
They're almost it's like scratching itches for us, where it's kind of like this character, like Psylocke might not be in this season, or Colossus might not be in this season,
but we got them
Here
both.
You go,
yeah. And we saw Colossus in his costume for the first time in X-Men the Animated Series.
In his costume is so good.
He and Psylocke, it just looks so good. Like I love the character designs and the aesthetic of this show. Like it's it's classic, but it's modern.
Yep, it's agreed. I think this animation style that the studio that they're working with, and like everything, the backgrounds, the villains, that stuff, I feel everything just looks so slick.
Yeah, it has so obviously there's kind of like a digital quality. It's I'm I'm sure it's hard to produce a 2D animation on like a TV budget, right? Especially these days. But I get sort of like a Satoshi Kon vibe from some of the sequences and some of the animation, like Paprika, and there's I don't know quite, I can't quite explain it, but it's like some of the like motions and the like the keyframes and stuff remind me of Satoshi Kon.
Dude, there's like, yeah, there's definitely some forced perspective shots that I saw there. Like there's one
Yeah.
where like Rogue is doing a drop kick and she's stretched,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so cool. Like I said, the animation, the updated animation for this, like again, all this like the animation's matching perfectly with the tone of the stories that they're telling or they're about to tell.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I feel. Like all the updates that we saw on this, all the character design updates, all of that, I think has been just, again, I came out of this show just like I was shook.
Yeah, well, again, it succeeds on the macro and the micro. Like there are some really great small animated moments where you just feel the personality of the characters, like the scene between Jean Grey and Storm where she's confiding in her in
Mm-hmm.
episode 2 about like, her anxiety about having her baby being born a mutant, and like just the sensitivity of that animation and performance. And then obviously the like crazy action sequences are also just like animated to the nines, like
Or just even Jubilee dancing,
yeah.
right? Like it's so good. Like I was like, first off, I don't think Jubilee should probably be in that club. I think she might be too young, but that's
Yeah.
not here nor there. I get it. It's a warehouse in New York. No one's checking IDs.
Yeah, it's
But
not the
it's
most legitimate party right there.
but it looked cool. I loved all of that because again that gave us more character moments, like
Mm,
especially for Rogue and Gambit.
yeah.
It kind of helped reestablish their relationship and that whole thing where Rogue's watching everyone getting to touch people and she's just like, fuck,
Right.
she's
And so,
thirsty and she can't do nothing about it, and Gambit is
yeah,
too, and
Yeah.
it's all setting up, like it's cool the way it sort of like plants those seeds early on. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like it's sort of, they need to explain this about Rogue, that her powers make it so that she can't have physical contact. But like obviously that's setting up something that becomes even more of a point in the second episode. There's even a part where Boulevard Trask, as he's being like carried away after they've defeated him, like he says to Cyclops, it's like, you don't know what it's like to be left behind by the future, or something to that effect. And then knowing
so
that
good.
Cyclops is dealing with possibly leaving the X-Men to raise his child, it's like this idea of like, and then when the episode ends with Magneto being placed in charge, it's sort of like, oh, now the future of the X-Men is kind of leaving Cyclops behind. So it's almost this like foreshadowing. I don't know if that's intentional, but like I thought it was kind of neat that like the ways in which sort of all of these characters are linked.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
felt like they were dealing with more mature topics in this already in the first 2 episodes.
Mm,
It's been
Like
very
they like
serious.
yes, right? Like it's even when, because I rewatched the first 4 seasons because I just skipped season 5. It's not good. But like I rewatched the
yeah.
first, and they do deal with a lot of serious topics, but not on this level. I felt like
Yeah.
it's X-Men and Batman animated series were 2 shows that we were all lucky enough to grow up with that never talked down to us. And I feel this helps carry that torch.
Yeah, for sure.
Man.
Right? That's Kevin. Anything you want to talk about with like animation wise or like design wise?
Um,
Anything that you saw there that stuck out?
I think everything was good when Alex brought up the conversation between uh Storm and Jean. I just realized, obviously it's a cartoon, but I'm like, man, that conversation was so realistic between the two of them that for a split second I forgot they were animated characters on
Yeah.
screen.
Oh,
I thought they were real
Yep.
actors in that moment. And I'm like, I've seen that part like twice, and I'm like, wait a minute, Alex is right. This is wait, I've been watching a cartoon the whole time. I'm like, why am I surprised by this? But it was that good. Even
Yeah.
Yeah,
like the
when
smallest,
Jean
the
Grey
simple
starts
stuff.
crying in the
Yeah.
scene, like, also an interesting thing there is that Storm says, she's like, because Jean Grey is sort of saying, is admitting that like there's part of her that wishes her child wouldn't be born a mutant.
Mhm.
And Storm says, she's like, I've often wondered what it would be like to be to just be a human with not a mutant.
Oof.
It's a little daydream, and then I realized that my mutant powers have brought me my family and all of you. But that's like this crazy foreshadowing, given like what
Yeah.
happens to her by the end of the episode. Like, establishing it there it's just really cool.
I think that's one of the parts. Did I tell you, Ryan, that I almost cried? I think that was the part when she was like, I can't, the moisture, everything, like she can't feel it. I was like, holy crap, I don't know
Oh
why,
yeah,
but it's so emotional right now.
yeah.
That was
No, for
one of the craziest scenes.
Same, yeah. Yeah, because it's the show again, because again, the show does such a good job of setting up how powerful Storm is now, and it's like, you see her take out all those Sentinels, and you're almost like, Storm's so powerful. It's almost kind of like creating a story problem, because like it
Mhm.
seems like there's nothing she can't like take care of. So then knowing that what they're building to is her losing her powers, and you realize like everything, just what she has lost, like we lost Ron. Speaking of we
He
lost Ron.
stormed himself.
Yeah, he stormed out.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in that moment, like realizing everything that she's lost, and it is like, it's because you don't know what Executioner's gun really does, like, which is cool.
Yeah.
Hey, he's back.
Yeah, my internet just like went kaput, but it's all good. I'm back.
Very nice. That was fast.
Depowered.
Yeah, I got to someone threw a collar onto my Wi-Fi, and then that was it.
Would you say it's a perfect premiere of 2 episodes? Near perfect?
I
For
would say
me,
so.
I would say so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
I'd
Any-
call it.
100.
I'd go as far as calling episode 2 a masterpiece.
Oof,
Um,
yeah, I can
oh,
see
It's
that.
like one of the best X-Men things. Yeah, in terms of like the writing, the ideas, the
Mhm.
relevance. Like,
yeah. Well, even King Panther, I saw this. I wanted to bring this one up too. Gotham City. Can we agree that Magneto should win an Oscar? And yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the animation team at Marvel was on fire and the tone was darker and more serious than expected. 10 out of 10. X-Men 97 rocks. That is a
Magneto is so good. And again, like to your point, Kevin, it's crazy that it's a cartoon character that you're like, he just the way, like his face, the way he's drawn, the voice performance, like it's in that UN sequence, both when he's on trial and then when he brings them to the upper atmosphere, like it's beautiful stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
I think part of the
so
like
good.
emotional reaction is just everything, the direction, the performances, like the writing, like it's all it's firing on all cylinders.
Right.
And yeah, it's just like I'm just like pulling it out. I was like literally sitting forward on the
Right.
couch, oh my god.
Yeah, I was during the UN sequence. We'll get to story right next here. But that UN sequence, that's where I caught myself standing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not even sitting anymore. Like, what is happening?
I've been levitated.
I've been levitated." It was so good.
The writing for his speech too, just the way they presented the challenge that he said Xavier put on him, and the weight of that he had to carry that legacy of peaceful even when he says it with a bit of like disdain in front of it's like coexistence or
Like,
something like that, right?
Yeah.
You can
It's
and
that's what's so
it
cool.
was funny.
It's hard for him. Like,
Yeah.
and when you see, and after you see what happens to Storm, you're like, oh fuck, what's Magneto gonna do? Because like, he was trying to like to do the Xavier thing, but now like, this is sort of his worst, what he fears is the worst of humanity's response to mutants, and you think he's going to like, you know, do the Magneto thing, and then the fact that he in it's almost like he doesn't know what he's gonna do, but then in that moment he realizes that he's gonna hold to Xavier's teachings, like for now.
Yeah.
Really, and it's a great, and I'm sorry to like jump around, like to jump to that moment, but it's like it's such a great when he has them like over the earth and he's saying, you know, like, you know, this is what keeps me from like destroying you all right now, is like this reminder, this perspective of the planet as a place that we all share. And it's that great like show and tell, like it's the writing is great what he's saying, but then it's also the visual of actually seeing the whole world, a perspective that is uniquely achieved by Magneto and his powers, and learning that lesson of like, you know, he's and just to continue on, he's saying, you know, we're not asking you to accept us, we're not asking you to love us, we're just asking you to share the world with us and let us like exist. And it's like such a beautiful moment of message and visual metaphor as well. Like,
yeah.
Yep. And currently topical too, because there's a lot of people asking that for that same exact thing.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
it
what
feels
X-Men
like
was
a
all
cons-
about, right?
yeah,
Back
such
in
an
the 90s,
honest.
That's what
then,
X-Men's all
the
about.
comics, and now, and the fact that that theme just goes over the head for so many people. It's when I saw that on screen, I was like,
frustrating.
that's why I thought it was so powerful, because it's like, here it is again. Can we make it any simpler for you? Do you get it? But
Yep.
I think one of the best parts was when Magneto rescued the Warlocks. And I love he threw it in the X-Men's face. Like, by the way, I find it crazy that although, why did I do the Christopher Walken voice again? But it's like, you know, I find it strange that this whole time Xavier and all you didn't take the Warlocks in and you know, take them to Genosha or something like that, or do something about it. Just let them live in the sewers because they're a little bit grotesque. He's like, I don't think that was very nice.
Use some of your funds to like yeah, I like that idea of Magneto bringing new
up there too.
True.
What's that?
Like, I got a feeling that's another one of the threads. I was saying, I think before we even went on the air, I feel like they set up 5 threads of different storylines by the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
And
sure.
you know, while we're here, let's just get right into the story. I know a few people in the chat already too brought up the whole Omega level threat.
Yeah, that was
which
so
I think
good.
is just, oh man, it was like, I was like, they're acknowledging it, which is great. But like story wise, like them going, like just doing Friends of Humanity right off the bat, them in that warehouse, they have the Sentinel Mega Man arms that they attach and start like, you know, and they had, and even Cyclops being like, I thought Master Mold was gone. Where is this tech coming from? How are these people getting it? I thought that was a great way to kick off the series, because again, at least with like mystery and all that kind of stuff.
The Sentinels are the best sort of introductory threat for the X-Men, and they managed to do that without while also adding something new to the Sentinel storyline, and not just having it be a rehash of the Night of the Sentinels episodes.
Yeah, because we got like multiples of them. I love how the one dude too, he was just like playing with wires and made the arm, you know,
like
shoot
a puppet.
Cyclops. I was like, what the hell? I was like, this is great.
Yeah,
this is
when
great.
you see that giant now that was a case where like, because I feel like in the trailers they showed some Sentinels and stuff, so like, but like if you didn't know that, like I feel like the reveal of like they have a giant Sentinel hand in their warehouse, like what you'd be like, oh shit, Sentinels. Like,
yeah,
yep, I thought that was super cool. Just so you know, Alex, we're gonna need to figure this too. I want Benet making Gambit, please. That would be great.
I know he's leveled up from like the chef's hat and the scarf.
Do they have a full fryer
to a
in their
crop
kitchen?
top?
Yeah, they've got a fryer.
It's a mansion. I would hope so. And it's a school, right? Don't forget they got to feed teenagers.
Yeah,
right?
cafeteria. At some point. That's true.
right? So that's what I assume. That's why they would have it. But right, so they go kind of from there. They rescuing Sunspot because he's been captured by the Friends of Humanity. So they grab him, they take him back to the mansion. So this is like, I always kind of feel like the first episode just kind of sets up just a reminder who the Friends of Humanity are. They're extremist groups. They don't like mutants. They do a lot of their own, like, we don't like you because you are different. And it's that straight up, it's a hate group, like flat out.
Yeah.
It is, and I thought that was like, again, too, before you hopped in here, Kevin, we see like Jubilee talking to Sunspot and being like, hey, when I joined this group, I thought it was nuts too, but they become family and we're going to help them out. So, and again, Sunspot does what every mutant who shows up at the mansion does, and that's run away. Yeah. And again, we get another fight breaking out at the club when they go to get Cyclops. And actually, not even a fight really happened, did it? Because it was like they showed up and Wolverine took them out.
He took a hat.
Yeah.
He took a souvenir.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird that they just skipped over it, but I guess it didn't really, it wouldn't have added much.
Yeah, we've already seen them battle the Friends of
I think they're dead. That's why they didn't show it.
Yeah.
And there's something really funny about like grabbing the Friends of Humanity hat and then putting it on Sunspot and go, okay, let's go.
You see blood just drip down the side.
Yeah, like it's.
Oh,
but I thought.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, did you guys talk about the the Easter egg with the original X-Men costume in the portrait that they got?
Oh,
I love that.
Yeah, let's talk about that
Dude,
for a hot minute.
I love that so much. I took a picture of it. We all know what it looks like, but I have a picture of it because it was so cool.
The drawings are so good. Like the design,
drawings,
like really.
But even Jean pulls out her Ms. Marvel costume and says, like, "Oh, I wore this when I got taken over by like an intergalactic being." Right? Hang on, let's.
I want that. I want that picture.
There's this, and then they have the photo of Scott and Jean. That's from the famous meme, the Wolverine meme in the in one of the scenes too, and it's just like you see that stuff and you go, all right, these are cool little Easter eggs, and they've done that before, but as the hardcore fans or like the more seasoned fans will be like, oh yeah, I remember this, I remember that. That's so cool to see.
We saw that that Marrow wanted poster that was in one of the trailers that showed up in this. There was even talking about Easter eggs. I'm not exactly certain about this one, but I feel like one of in the very beginning, you see like this like busted up, closed down storefront of and it's like Crazy Eddie's like electronics, which I'm pretty sure in the original series, like the Mojo episode, they're shopping for TVs and like Crazy Eddie's electronics place. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like possibly that's like a crazy Easter egg there.
It's a good callback is what it is, right? Like right, because it goes to show you we're still in that world, and I love
exactly
that. Right, but I still feel like I think it's just in episode 1 where they replay in the background. It's like Scott and Jean are talking about leaving the X-Men, and while they're talking about that, this game is happening.
Right.
And we actually hear it line for line from the comic book.
Oh, is it?
Oh, that's so cool.
So you hear, them going, you're not supposed to use their powers. And then all of a sudden, when we get to, when we actually get to the outside and seeing what's happening in the game, the basketball net is bent with the 3 claw dents. And Wolverine just got taken out by a basketball via Rogue. So they're actually, that scene that we saw in X-Men number 4 is actually happening outside while Scott and Jean are talking, which is why Scott and Jean aren't in the scene in the comic.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. I love that.
Retcon this panel.
They did kind of I felt like they did a little bit of retconning throughout the 2 episodes. But you know what? I don't care. The fact that we got this and the fact that they even nodded to this is just, I know it's just like, it's 3 pages of an X-Men comic, but this has stuck with me so hard since this issue came out. that anytime that I get a nod to this, I get giddy, and I get my tummy feels like Winnie the Pooh getting honey. It just that's that's how it feels. Like I love it so much. So getting that whole nod to it and hearing it line for line happening in the background is such a cool nod.
It makes me realize that we have to be even more like eagle-eyed.
Yeah,
For
you
the
can't look
show.
away.
Like they're going deep.
Like they're going deep, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every part of it.
Oh,
Go ahead.
one last one. In the
Yes.
credits, they had the 3D style turnarounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you used to get those randomly. Those were always a treat when they were on TV, and like whatever channel you were watching on would push it aside and have their coming up next on Fox News. It's like, no, I don't want to hear what you're saying. I want to see those turnarounds.
Yeah.
I want to see
Yes.
the 3D.
Yeah.
So like, and that wasn't every episode. So when it happened, it's like, come on, guys, stop talking over this. It was YTV in Canada. I think. I
Yep, it
remember
was.
watching it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't care what's next. Come on.
But if you watch it Saturday mornings on CTV, they didn't do those type of ads.
Okay. Good.
So you always got the full credits on CTV on Saturday mornings. Canadian television for those of you born out of the country.
I was born out of the country.
But that's where it was syndicated if you didn't have cable. Like, because again, grew up on a farm. If you didn't have cable on the farm, but no cable, no Bishop either.
Yeah.
No time travelers. But yeah, so for just regular syndication, we got it on CTV on Saturday mornings, and it was the best. I love it. I love it.
Heck
And
yeah.
and again, so the episode just kind of, I'm trying to remember where episode 1 ends.
Magneto coming in.
Oh,
Yeah.
Magneto coming in, of course. Magneto coming in and just kind of explaining like, hey, he left this to me, which then leads us to episode 2, which to me, this is where we get our steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
As far as like story goes, because now you've got not Wolverine. What actually, it's kind of like there's a lot of Wolverine in the episodes, but he's kind of like just being a pouty Wolverine. He's being pretty emotional. Well, everyone's pretty emotional in this.
Yeah.
But like, to me, I felt like Cyclops was really kind of like the most interesting part, because he's sitting there going like, well, was I not good enough that he could have left this to me? And it's really Jean kind of talking to him and being like, hey, he's doing this to kind of not help you because you're fine. He's doing this to help Magneto.
Yeah, well, but also it's like Cyclops, or yeah, they have in the first episode, they talk about how, Jean tells that story when they're kids. She's like, when we would sneak down to the lake instead of going to the danger room, and Xavier would tell us to take our mutant training more seriously, and Cyclops at the time said, we should also be able to have regular lives outside of the X-Men as well. Establishing that like Xavier is also probably doing this for Scott and Jean because he knows that that's something they've always wanted, even if they can't always admit it, or if it's hard to choose it.
I think that's such an interesting plot twist because they build up that they're having the baby and they're going to leave the team, and then all of a sudden Magneto comes in and he's going to take over. And so he has that feeling of like, why wasn't I good enough? Why wasn't it me? But at the same time, you're on the way out, and he's kind of forced to stay to make sure like Magneto's really, on the straightened path. So he's got this huge thing like pulling him in all these different directions. It's probably like one of the best stories for like Cyclops like this to start it off with.
Because it kind of pulls out some like jerkiness in it. Like it's more than just not trusting Magneto because he used to be a bad guy. Like you get the sense that Cyclops doesn't like being passed over, as the heir to the X-Men, like or the heir to Xavier, right? It's like,
well, it's not getting that promotion. Like we've all experienced it in some form or fashion, right? Like it's.
I have no ambitions.
Yeah,
I'm good.
No, it's true. It's a bit of ego, and like when he tells Jean to like scan Magneto's mind, and she's like Scott, that's like you're pushing it. Like it's a little too personal, you know. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's bringing out some, you know, not great looking qualities in him.
Well, speaking of which, too, like there was this, which was this scene here where he's like, "Yo, like, what are you like? You shouldn't even be here. What's your deal?" And that's even like Gene's just like, "I can't do that." But he goes,
Yeah.
"Well, you you did it with Trask, right?" And
Yeah.
this was great too. Where another one of those Cyclops moments where it was just like, Xavier's not here, it's me now, and
Mhm.
we are going to fish this information out of your head,
Yeah, and such a good
right?
introduction to Jean Grey as just this force to be reckoned with. It's
Yeah,
and that was this so that sequence too where she's in the sort of psychic plane and things are getting the sky's all trippy and she's sort of having this like premonition almost. That reminded me of like a Satoshi Kon film. Like that had this sort of dreamscape paprika and also just like the camera angles and stuff. Like that's when I first started getting those vibes for anyone
right.
who's a fan of Satoshi Kon's work.
So yeah, it's again, these were all so good. And then we get to uh I believe, like, again, I think Wolverine's starting to sense too, right? That
He
Jean and
figures it
Cyclops
out.
are, yeah, they're
He
leaving.
pie
Like,
he pieces
Yeah.
it he pieces it together on the basketball court. They play a lot of basketball, by the way. I like it.
they do. And well, I mean,
Me
they
too.
have the court. You might as well. It's nice outside.
Mhm.
Uh but I love that he does piece it together, and he kind of still does his thing where he goes, climbs a tree, and just kind of like, I hate
That was
everything.
so good.
But
Dude,
that was
it's
so
so
good.
good. Everyone's being serious, and then Morph's like, "Beer? Chips?" And he's just pegging him in the face with chips
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
sort
such
of
like that sequence, right? Everyone's being so serious and, who's talking over, uh, the voiceover? Is it Gene making a speech? And then they're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the thing with Logan and Morph. I love that.
And that's sort of like in the comics, that's kind of like Nightcrawler, and like that
Mm,
scene might be in like where Wolverine's in the tree and Nightcrawler shows up with a 6-pack, and like they have this
Yeah,
sort of buddy
yes.
thing.
That
That
happens more than
it's
once
sort
in
of
the
a
comics
reference.
during the
Yeah,
Claremont burn run, right? That
yeah.
happens more than once.
Because and yeah,
And
Morph sort of occupies that same position on the team where it's sort of it's bringing in some
yep.
levity, you know, when everyone is brooding and upset and like,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah. So it's
there's so
and
there's just so many
we
good
saw in the trailer
storylines.
too. Yeah, Nightcrawler is joining the team at some point because
right.
Mhm.
he's in the trailer, he's in the toy line.
He's
So
in
I
wave
would
2, baby.
he's in wave 2. Such a great figure. Did you get the
With
Nightcrawler yet,
2 hair.
Kevin? Not to derail us.
No, I only got this first.
Oh,
Only got
dude.
Cyclops.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. I want to talk about them going to the UN. So they go to they have the protesters, because now they're like, hey, if Magneto's legit, he's like, that's when the police force actually that they've been working with, the United Nations that Scott and Jean have been working with, are kind of like, if you're
And
going
I
to be
love
working with,
Valerie Cooper, by the way, just real quick, like the inclusion of Valerie Cooper, like
Mhm.
really good. Because
yep,
she was, I don't think she was ever in the original cartoon, but like she was kind of such an interesting character in the comics as that like human liaison between the
between
government
the,
and the mutant world. Yeah.
so good. And I like how, like, even before that, we see like the montage of Magneto just doing good regular everyday deeds.
Yeah, he's like
Right.
Superman in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Going city
Right.
to
Like
city.
the
Yeah.
Ferris wheel thing. And I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this is so freaking cool. And of course, the police show up right at the doorstep of the mansion. And they're just like, and it's crazy. Like they don't, like, police are kind of there. They're already like guns up, but they're like, everything gets de-escalated pretty quick. And then all of a sudden it gets escalated again.
Yeah.
Pretty like, just as quickly as it gets de-escalated, it escalates again. Magneto taking over those choppers and having them
Mhm.
spinning on the side. I was like, this is this is so wild.
And
I
it's
loved that.
great too because it's like the X-Men are like, we trust the government to a certain extent, Magneto doesn't trust them at all, like, and
Yeah.
he's sort of
Yep.
like, it's like, am I going to be guaranteed, that if I, make my case and you find it acceptable that you will, let me
Fair
be? And
trial.
it's just like, that's
Yeah.
how due process works. And he's like, yeah, that's what you say. It's like, it's great because you're like, oh yeah, like you see it from everyone's perspective, right? You're like, you understand where Magneto's coming from. It's like, yeah, maybe don't trust these people when they show up, but also what else can you do, right? Like,
Right.
so yeah.
No, I
Man.
love that. Because the Trial of Magneto, that was another comic as well. Same
Mm.
same covers, same costume, right?
Yeah.
Like that one goes back as well. Super cool that they kind of did that. But I love, you get to the United Nations, you've got the protesters, and
Mhm.
this is where they really start to dive into real world events.
They go straight up January 6th.
Yeah.
Like, you can't,
Straight up January 6th
yeah, you
insurrection.
can't deny
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, like it
Yeah.
was very obvious that's what they were doing. Even right down to the police comms, right? Of like, they're
Yeah.
breaking through to this, right? And they're coming through to this. And it was like, oh my, we're reliving this in X-Men today. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
May
what it is.
20th, 2024, and here we are,
Yeah.
where they're not pulling any punches.
Yeah, it's a reminder of how, like, important this show still is
Mhm.
Right,
to
and
everything.
absolutely. So I loved that. That they just, that again, they went for it. And meanwhile, all this stuff is happening. We now see that one dude with the scars on his face,
Yeah.
the lead douchebag. Now he's gearing up and he's executioner.
Yeah, which is
Right? That's
awesome.
when
I thought that was like a really cool kind of twist. Like, I feel like you often see it in cartoons where like a character who's sort of like just like a thug, or like it turns out to be like they kind of up level to more of a
Mhm.
bad guy. But I thought that was like a cool kind of seeing that the executioner's origin, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, the way they were
Yeah.
setting it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The part when dude, when the Gene's like, "He's here," and Logan gets up, "Who? Apocalypse?" Like, "The baby,
Yeah.
you idiot."
Yeah, I
It's-
love, and then his
Oh my
coat and the keys.
Throws the coat on him, the keys go in his hands.
Because that's the other
Yeah.
thing. It's like, as like serious and dramatic as the show can be, like having those moments of levity, like that was like a legitimately funny
Yeah,
moment,
I like that.
and then such a great concept to have, like it's also to find a way to have just Jean and Wolverine be in the sort of like intimate, like he's bringing her to the hospital because like Cyclops isn't there, but she's going into labor, like and
Yeah.
the humor of like of her like of a pregnant telekinetic going through like contractions and stuff, and like
Mhm.
ripping the roof off of the
Yep.
Jeep and all that, like
Or even him panicking about, like, watching Wolverine panic and driving on the sidewalk, and she's moving everybody off the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
so
Like, it
good,
was
so fun.
so good.
Do you think Cyclops should have left because his wife was in labor in the middle of a fight, like protecting people? I feel
kinda
like
had
that
that thought
could have been
too.
better use of, and then you take somebody else out of the fight because they have to fly him over.
They took,
Um,
yes, I think I think it's because it was Magneto and Storm specifically, who are
Yeah.
two Omega mutants. I feel
Okay.
like, his Storm kind of made the call. Did she not?
Yeah,
I
well,
think so.
Right?
but also
Right?
like a telekinetic woman going into labor is also potentially
True.
a threat, or not, but just like
Yeah.
that's potentially a situation that needs like X-Men care, right?
Yeah. Maybe
Right.
her, somebody by her side to guide her through or calm down
Yeah.
if anything. All right, that's fair. That's fair.
But
That's
even
at
when
least my
yeah,
rationalization.
even when the insurrection starts, like, speaking of Storm, like when she goes full,
Dude.
like, Queen of Africa, and she's like, "You listen to me now." Because when
Yes.
that one
Yeah.
guy does the, like, who are you? Who are you to tell us what to do? This is what's gonna happen, and you are going to shut up, and you are going to listen, and we are going to deal with this mess.
Yeah.
The
Goddess,
way
like,
that whole line is I'm still getting goosebumps. The
Yeah.
whole way that was delivered, I was like, you don't fuck with Storm.
But
Like,
also so
100%.
important because it's setting it up so that then when those same people see this woman who is such a commanding presence like seconds ago is now like brought to her
Oh
knees,
yeah.
powerless, can't even stand up. Like they
Right.
see like you feel the impact of like what was like a god was destroyed
Yeah.
in that
Right.
moment. Like
And even still, like when he's gearing up as executioner, and you hear him talking to himself going, I have just one shot.
yeah.
Right? Like that's it. That's all he has. So you know there's something there, but we just don't know what it is.
Well, and that too, because you're thinking he's like, okay, he's an assassin. You know, Xavier has been assassinated. You're expecting you're so geared up to thinking that he's there to like kill Magneto, right? And then Storm takes the bullet, and you're like, oh my god, like just. But then you realize, especially if you're familiar with the comics, you're like, oh my god, this is in many ways like a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
It's the death of Storm, the mutant, the goddess. Like it's
It's heartbreaking. But before
Yeah.
we go into even Magneto's response, I love how they even go back to the hospital. Rogue is there. The doctors won't tend to her because they're scared of her.
Yeah.
And Rogue uses her powers in a way, again, we have not seen, where she absorbs the doctor and she's like, okay, this is what we need to do. You 2 nurses, you go do that. We're going to go deliver this baby.
Yeah.
She was like Neo and just downloaded the information. She's like, wow, I know
Yes,
Kung Fu.
dude, that's the best way to explain that. She Neo'd 100% and just like,
Yeah,
and
it's really fun.
helps deliver this baby. We go back to, the UN, and that's when like we really see like, okay, this is where I kind of felt like this is why I'm wearing my Magneto is right shirt, because it was this scene in particular, because he just like, because I felt what Magneto was feeling like. You just fucked with Storm. Like I had the exact same guttural reaction of like, okay, fuck this. Let's just kick everybody's ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Drop him out of the sky.
Drop him. That's it. Right. And so even when he grabs Executioner and he grabs the UN plaque,
the world, symbol of the world,
and he pins him up against it, and then takes the people from the United Nations, like, and this is where we get to what you're talking about earlier, Alex. And he's just like, I honestly thought Magneto was going to just cut everybody in half.
Yeah. Like drop them, send them out into space. Like,
yep. Like make an example. Like, and I was like, oh fuck. And again, too, when I was saying too, like I caught myself standing up and watching. This is also when I caught myself standing up and watching, because I was like off the couch, standing and just like, do something. You don't
like, trying to get closer into the scene as if as if you want to be there, right? Like,
yes. Oh yeah, like that's how it felt. Like I need to be part of, I need to see this. I can't miss this. Nothing else existed in my world during this whole entire scene.
I found the Storm quote.
Okay.
The guy's like, who are you to give orders? She's like, do not think, be silent, keep my commands, and you shall survive. I was like, whoa, okay, you got this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's
and then they all be quiet.
Yeah,
I love that part.
So good. It might be my favorite part of the entire episode. Just because it gave me, like, again, just gives me chills thinking about it, because that's the Storm for us who read comics. That's how we see Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she's commanding, she's strong, and there's just something about her where you're just like, yep, you got it.
But also setting up an amazing arc for her, because like it's basically saying like this is where Storm is starting, and we're about to put her through the ringer, where she's going to lose the thing that most precious to her, and like we're gonna see what that person does in that situation.
Right. Katie's Toys finally upstaged the quote about Toads being struck by lightning. 100%. 100%. Right.
On that note of like, hey Kayla, on that note of like, some of the things over the last however many years becoming memes, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
the only downside that I saw in these 2 episodes, and it's not even a huge thing, it's like, how many cat metaphors did Rogue use in episode? I think there's like 3 or
Oh
4
my
talking
god,
about cats, because the one time she said,
definitely
"You look
3
more nervous than a cat long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs," and
rock
that's, I feel
chairs.
like over the years, that's been kind of her thing, and then now they feel like, I don't know, maybe they had to add it in or play that up a little bit. I don't know if anyone else noticed that.
Rogue
I think
Yeah,
she
loves
they're
said that
cat
it's
still trying to
weird.
analogies.
feel out.
She
Yeah.
loves cat analogies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I think that's about it. That's the only,
yeah.
like, gripe about these 2 episodes at all.
I agree. They did it one time would have been enough to do the Leo point, but
Yeah.
we did it 3 times. Where it's like,
Mm.
oh, cats. And then also speaking of like after this whole thing is fight is done at the UN, they pardon Magneto completely
Mhm.
Mhm.
at the end of it, and they just say, you know what, go. Point made.
Yeah.
Right? Case
Okay.
closed. And he's off willy-nilly, and then we kind of now we're kind of dealing with an epilogue at the same time. We're now we're laying out the paths that we're going to be taking throughout the season. It
Mhm.
feels like so now we got Storm. She leaves a note. She leaves the team. Again, I think she might go join the Morlocks. Because at this point, too, because there is, for those of you in the if you want to go and spoil things for yourself, I'm not going to tell you what comics to look for necessarily, but if you want to go find them, go find them. But like Storm did lose her powers in the comics for a while. And then she
Like
still
most of
kicked
the
Cyclops'.
80s.
Yeah, right? And she's still kicking ass and getting in knife fights, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't you don't fuck with this woman.
I
So
wonder if
I'm
they'll bring
curious.
in like Yukio, because like that was such an important relationship to Storm in the comics.
Right?
Like if maybe she'll go to Japan, Madripoor.
And that would make sense for her to get into that full-on punk outfit,
Yeah.
the leather
Right.
vest and the
Yeah. We better
all
see
that,
it.
right? I well, she already has the hair, so you might as well
Yeah.
just carry on with it. So I'm kind of so there's that storyline. Let me know if there's any storylines I might have missed that we're pulling threads to. Genosha,
Mhm.
it had me the moment he's like, "This is Genosha. We're gonna send all the mutants there, the Morlocks." And my first guttural reaction was, "Oh God, please don't do E for Extinction. I'm not ready
I know,
for
but
E for Extinction."
we've already seen zombie sentinels, I think it's certainly on
Oh,
everyone's mind.
certainly on everyone's mind. I'm gonna bring up this screen cap as well. This one was particularly heartbreaking.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so
What are they setting up there?
what are they setting up? Love triangles. I
Mhm.
love them. I live for love triangles and romance in my stories and X-Men. I was kind of worried just the way storytelling's been modern, like in the modern era for whatever reason. We don't get a lot of romance and
Yeah.
kissing and all that stuff, but
I know
X-Men's
this
gonna
we
give it
got
to me.
Jubilee and Sunspot, like, they
Ah,
understand that the X-Men are just as much about like, the relationships.
yes, right. So with this as well, like again, we're gonna, we're getting to spoiler territory. Uh there's clearly a past with Magneto and Rogue that we do not know about,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or us as viewers of this particular show, we don't know what their background is. There's something there that there clearly something happened between them.
We
And
know that they can touch, which is,
and
Yeah.
also from the comics in this era, like that's taken right from that. Like there is a
correct.
Magneto Gambit love triangle that kind of revolves around this thing that because of their powers, Rogue can actually make physical skin contact with Magneto.
Absolutely.
Which,
So
if I could quickly say too, like, because it applies to the love triangle thing, there's a great moment when Jean gives birth to the baby and they name it Nathan Charles Summers, and
Mhm.
it's Jean and Cyclops, like, with their baby, and you see they're framed in the foreground, and you see
Yeah.
Wolverine looking at them, and then the camera kind of moves over and reveals Rogue as well. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, now why would that shot be in there? It's because it's drawing a connection between Wolverine, who's longing for the connection that Jean and Cyclops have. Like, we know that Wolverine loves Jean and he would give anything if that were him instead of Cyclops. And so like it's reminding you of that in that moment. And then it moves over to Rogue to also establish that like that she is thinking about how she doesn't have that kind, she probably won't have that kind of physical contact with someone. She won't have a child. Like, this is not something. So it's Wolverine and Rogue both realizing that they're looking at something that they can't have, which sets up the why it establishes the temptation that Rogue must feel being around somebody like Magneto, who's somebody that she can actually potentially have like that life with. Really cool stuff. Really smart.
It's good. It's good direction in that.
Yeah.
To subtly hint at such heavy themes for both of those characters.
Yeah, agree. And for anyone who didn't notice, Gambit is holding the Queen of Hearts
Yes.
card during that as well. So he sees all that, which has got to be like heartbreaking for the dude, right? Like, that's all he's ever wanted to give her, and he can't either, right? Like, it's
he said it would be worth, anything would be worth being with Rogue. Like, that's what he says to that effect in the nightclub. Like, he doesn't matter if you can't have physical contact. Like, it's about the heart, right? So it's interesting that that's sort of like directly in conflict with this Magneto love triangle thing. Like,
and plus, don't be dating the headmaster, Rogue. It's not gonna go well. I'm telling you. It's don't date the guy that runs the school. It's just, and then we can get Dave Cabal's here as well. Thank you for being here. So well, we don't know who Madeline Pryor is. We just seen the toy of it.
What a shocking ending.
And then that was this to me is like one of the bigger stories. Oops, I got the wrong thing.
Oh, before you get to that, you showed the screenshot earlier of Magneto and Cyclops sharing having coffee.
Yes.
When he hands him that and then he looks at it, he just goes, poison. Like, damn, that's so cool. Like, that's so cool. He's like, no, it's dark roast.
Dark roast. Yeah.
Poison. Oh, it's so good, that writing. But yeah.
I thought I had a I do. It's dude, it's this. I love this show so much already.
I also like it's like it's like they're drinking coffee. It's like, if you're gonna be leading the X-Men, you're gonna need some coffee.
It's and then here's our cliffhanger. So we've got Baby Nate with Cyclops and Jean, but then Jean shows up at the door.
Who's who?
What is happening? And clearly one Jean is not happy to see the other.
Yeah. This is a shocker. Even knowing the comics, I'm not really quite sure where they're going to go with this.
I'm not sure, but that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
Like, because they're doing a familiar storyline in a way we've never seen.
Yeah.
So now they can take this storyline and go wherever they want to go with it.
Yeah. And either way, it's like devastating, right? Like, it's so, it's like this, it's a more...
That's how we all felt.
Yeah.
What?
So good. This was and again, like, it was one of these things where I got so into this episode that when this happened and the credits rolled, it was like, oh, come on. Like, not now.
Yeah.
This
like,
is
we got time. We got so much in this episode, and it's like, no, you can't do me like this. I want more of this. You can't just stop, even though there's so much substance.
It's such a home run because you got like a full meal, and that's like, oh, we're not done yet. Like, here's also this teaser, and now you can't wait to see what happens next. Like,
right. So now they have laid the groundwork for so like all these threads for us to follow. So now we know even what's happening with Storm, her story is not done.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely
like,
not.
I'm waiting to see. There's. I just can't wait. I honestly can't wait. And we all know, like we saw, like I said earlier, we saw Nightcrawler in the trailer. He's in the toys. This is I love
Well, because
this.
they lost some members. They're gonna have to like, the X-Men are gonna have to replenish the ranks,
Well, and here's another storyline too we didn't talk about. We got Beast looking into, well, Storm's cells.
Yeah.
But the other thing he was doing research on too was Bishop's time travel bracelet.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Kevin, see what came in for me today?
No.
Pow!
Dolverine.
That's it.
Dolverine. You got to make that.
Dolverine.
I'm down to make that a convention exclusive, guys. The
Yeah.
Dolverine head.
Sick. But yeah, I loved Beast in this too. Like we didn't talk about him that much, but like just hearing Dave Booza's voice again, and like it's just like, man, that's Beast. He's back. It's so good.
Right? Who's gonna show up? I have okay, so this is gonna be our last take before I have my heart out, which I probably should have had ready, but I wanted to bring up from the
Alex, is he choppy on your end?
Yeah. He's that hard out might happen sooner than
I think
we
this
thought.
might be it. This might be it.
What was he gonna tell us? This is like the end of an X-Men episode.
He's loading something.
Cliffhanger.
Well, okay. So earlier when I spoke about the voiceover, that was Storm's farewell or goodbye note.
Oh,
when
okay.
everyone was like doing their thing. Gambit seeing Rogue leave Magneto's room and Wolverine in the tree with Morph. So that was the part playing out at the end, her monologue leading into Jean reading in the note in front of everybody.
Yeah. Really.
I don't remember like the stuff with Beast though. He was working, like, how much did he say about Bishop's thing?
He was the one who had to break the news to Storm about losing her powers, that it could be permanent. Maybe his storyline is going to be trying to find a cure to get Storm's powers back. I could see that happening.
The cool part was, hey, there you go. Stop doing that to us.
I don't mean to. I don't know what's happening. It's been going weird all day.
Have you downloaded the latest QuickTime? Says Games Toys.
Oh wait.
Oh, we're bringing it back to the 90s.
That's really funny. Okay,
that's great.
That's really good. Okay, what? Where was I? End credits. Yes. And what might be coming down the road? So.
Oh no, Ryan.
Oh no.
But it's cool that they did a special thanks to everyone involved with X-Men. Like really? Seek out these people in their works if you are an X-Men fan.
Yeah.
It's literally
Stanley and Jack Kirby, John Byrne, Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum. There's just a list of all
Jim
these.
Lee, Joe Madureira, it's everyone's. Louise Simonson, Mark Silvestri. That's awesome that they did that.
It's cool when they give those credits. The cool part was Toronto Comic-Con just happened on the weekend, and the voice actors, they're all like the original voice actors. They're mostly from
Canadian,
Toronto.
right?
Yeah, they're Canadian, but from Toronto too, because they used like a Canadian company to find the voice actors. So just last weekend, like 6-7 of the actors were here in town promoting the premiere. They had a room. Was it the premiere in LA where they had like gave out cereal and stuff, made it like a Saturday morning cartoon vibe?
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So they had that here. They set up a room. They had beanbag chairs, X-Men posters on the wall. They served cereal. You can sit down and watch the first episode.
That's
and on the first day, I think some of the voice actors came out and spoke for a little bit. Larry Houston was also here, who was the producer director for the original series. So it was a huge kind of like animated series theme, and I completely screwed up because I got Cal Dodd's autograph in New York, so I'm like, I don't need it again, so I didn't bring anything, even though I had this book, right?
Yeah.
And then I went to Larry Houston's table, and he had like a team photo, and he signed that, and I went, "Oh shoot, I could just get everyone to sign this here."
Yeah.
And but like I think this would have been cooler.
Yeah, I mean both are cool, but so the book has Cal Dodd's signature. Did you get the Larry Houston's
I got
picture
Larry Houston
signed by everyone?
on a poster, like a team
Mhm.
poster. Cal Dodd signed on the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 figure
Cool.
that I got
Sick.
in New York because I didn't want to
That's
carry this
awesome.
thing around. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really did not plan it well, but this thing has some beautiful artwork
Yeah.
and insights
That
to
book
everything too.
Yeah, that book's amazing. Like, if you're an X-Men fan, definitely pick it up. Also, just for all of Eric and Julia Lewald's
Yes.
like recounting of all the trials and tribulations and things that went on to make that show so good.
There
I
you go.
think I'm here. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Just don't screen
Alex,
share. I think that's killing your internet.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, maybe. But no, they're okay. So the end credits, they're doing special thanks. There was one name that popped up I want to bring up specifically, and that was Joe Madeira. Madeira?
Mad Gerard, yeah.
Madeira?
Joe Mad.
Yeah, Joe Mad.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry to interrupt, just because I got to wrap this thing up. But
Yeah.
do you think we're going to get any kind of hints towards Onslaught?
I hope so. I mean, we're certainly
That'd be
already
cool.
getting the like Magneto Rogue relationship that was such a part of Joe Mad's run.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Phalanx. I mean, I guess they kind of did that in season 5 of the last cartoon. But yeah, no,
Right.
Onslaught would be
Right.
sick. Bring it all on. Onslaught, Cassandra Nova, like there's so much.
There's so much
Just
that's
just
happened since then.
just be like Avatar and announce season 2 and 3, you know? Just tell us it's coming. We're ready. We're gonna watch it. Like we're
Because
gonna
they
watch
are
this.
working on season 2, right? Like
Yeah,
they're in
season
the
2 has
middle
been
of that.
announced.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Excellent. Buy all the toys.
Before we take off, because I know Ryan has a hard out. Kevin, do you want to plug your convention coming up?
Yes,
Oh,
please.
yeah, sure. April 7th, it's the Toying Around Toy Con presented by eCollectibles. I have some really cool guests. It's my first toy convention, but my friend Paul, who plays Carson Teva, is going to be there, and also Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine. And I think that's some really awesome guests. I got an announcement today. McFarlane Toys going to have an exhibit there and showing some toys as well. And it's going to be local vendors. We're going to have some giveaways. And I'm hoping it's going to be a lot of fun, like a collector event, but a fan event. So if you're in Ontario or northwestern New York, or what else is close by? Buffalo, Niagara Falls,
Montreal-ish?
Montreal. Yeah, it's only a
I mean,
5-hour drive. Come out. Yeah, it's in
yeah,
Ontario. And it should be a fun event, April 7th, and tickets are on my website, toyingaround.ca. Thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. It's Wolverine.
Oh,
Come on,
dude.
it's the perfect spot for it.
Yeah.
absolutely. If you make me an ad that I can like share on here, I will plug it I'll plug it next week again too.
Thank you. I know how good you are with reading the promos.
Right, and I think that's so oh god, I wish I could go because it sounds like an absolute blast. So if this becomes a yearly thing, then
That's the
you know, maybe we'll set it up so maybe Toy Anxiety can do a live show there.
You know,
next
I
year.
hope to get to a point where other toy companies, Mondo, will be like, "Hey, man, this would be cool. This is a cool toy collector con." And the way I position to people, it's like if you're a toy company at, you know, Comic-Con, maybe like 1 in 10 people, 2 in 10 people walk by are action figure collectors. But for this, it's like 8, 9 out of 10 will probably be in your target market.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's a great idea. I'll keep pushing it. But yeah, a toy focused con is awesome. Great idea.
yeah.
It's a
And
great
something
idea.
in Canada would be nice too.
This isn't Canada. What do you mean?
That's what I mean. Because we don't get a lot of this in Canada. So to have like, even if we know people at Mondo and NECA and Super 7 and Hasbro, right? Like it'd be nice to be able to get any of them to come up and do more up here.
Yeah. I thought I was in like a pretty unique position to have, you know, some access or communication with a lot of people that, you know, I thought I could make it happen. And I'm adding more stuff day after day Like, I just mentioned McFarlane today. There's going to be some comic artists, a lot of really, really fantastic comic book talent in Toronto and in Canada, of course. So I'm just hoping
Yeah.
to get everyone involved.
There's a lot there in Toronto for comic book wise. Like it's amazing. Right? They
So come
either
out
live in
and
Portland. They either live in Portland or they live in Toronto. That's where all the talent is.
yeah, if you're interested, come by, come out. If you have questions, send me a message. And we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked. So with that said, I'm going to head out. We're all going to head out, but we're going to be back next week at our regular time at 7 p.m. at Gotham City Tonight. And then, yeah, we're going to next week. We've got Jerry Gaylord coming in. He also worked on X-Men 97. So he's going to be joining us next week. Kevin, you are more than welcome to join every week if you so desire and have the time.
Thank you. I want to talk about this all the time. I don't have the manpower or brain power to run another show.
Yeah, like my internet, Kevin does not have the bandwidth to do this every week.
What a great segue to get at.
Yeah. But again, if there's an episode that really hits you, Kevin, and you're like, I need to talk about this, just tell me that you're coming on, and then you're
Thank you.
And that, yeah, we'll see. We're going to try and get some other guests coming on too. So it'll be amazing. So thank you everyone in the chat for coming to hang out. And thank you, Kevin, for hanging out with us as well. And Alex and I, we will see you guys all next week.